Back. Let's talk about events management. Yes, the people we put all our troubles on when we have to organize a thing or the other, they carry the burden. Well, we're going to be talking with someone outside our shores. He's joining us from Sheffield, the United Kingdom. Badmus joins us via Zoom. Thank you so much, Mr. Badmus.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
You know, I started off by saying that you are the one that carries all our problems. So first, is that a fair description of your job? And how well do we need to trust you? I know why I made that reference.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, because the duty of organizing and producing your events to suit whatever you want is definitely on my shoulder. So, yeah.
Tell us how challenging, because I would like to, I don't want to start from the glamour end. The glamour end is how much money you make. No. Let's start from the real work. So somebody walks up to you, and I've seen this, dealing with business people. Some clients are very difficult. Let's say what it is. Some clients are almost impossible to please. You say this, they say that. It's all. So how do you navigate different kinds of clients? And maybe give us an example of a client that was easy to deal with and a near impossible client, and how you walk through it, because that is going to be the good lesson here.
For me, organizing events on this part of the country, being a Nigerian in diaspora in UK is a bit very challenging, because it's a new space, it's a new event, and having to meet up clients, and people need to first understand the fact that you won't run away with their money, which comes very, very challenging. So most of the times, people would rather want me to work for them, to impress them, then they would say to me, like, my payments will come when they refer me. So it comes very, very, very challenging. But I think the way I've been able to navigate myself all through the journey is I have stand out from just creating an event for people to having my own event company, which has made it very, very easier. So I am able to create the kind of event I want, and the kind of audience I also want, and with this I've been able to create different brands under my event company. So when people reaches out to me that, oh, you know what, I want to have this kind of event, or I want something like this, do you have an experience? I easily send them my YouTube link and tell them to go check. This is something I did recently. My most experience was working, I call them older Nigerians, because they kind of like make the job not too easier for us to do. And those are like people that has been in UK for over like 20, 30 years, working with them, and they come with, oh, I know a lot of people that will refer you to. So because basically what I say to people is I charge 25% of their event budget for an instance, a wedding. But when I work with this set of people, they are ready to pay me as low as £150, because they believe that I am a striving Nigerian who is just starting up. But over the years, I have been able to create my own community where I have created over 45 events, writing different narrations to suit the African culture, and just fusing it into the UK culture. And under this, I have done the likes of Ankara Festival, I have done Niger Food Fair, Carnival, I have done the trade fair, and all of this has really helped me, grow from just a random event planner. And this is, I can remember a time, because sometimes I hold the mic and do MC, and I can remember a time when some audiences where some people were going to book me for their event, and their deposit was meant to be about £200, and they went far to say, oh, if we pay you this money, hope you won't run away, and I was in my head, I was like, you know what, I've got a profile, I've got a portfolio. Search me on Google. My name is Badmus. Search me up on Google, and they went, came back, and the man was like, "Oh yeah, I'm happy to pay you a full money." So it's very challenging, being a new setup, being someone who is trying to craft his own niche in the industry, and working with external. So when I realized that working with people and trying to create a space for myself, to create like an impression, when I realized that it was really, really hard, I found it easier to craft my own niche, which is creating my own event company. So if I'm not getting job as an event planner, I am doing my own job as an event planner, creating an event for people to attend.
Ola, I'd just like to, give you a word of caution there. The younger ones back home who are hearing you calling pounds, they'll just be sliding into your DM right now, by asking you to send something to them back home.
No, we're good, don't worry.
But it speaks to the Nigerian spirit of resilience, what you're doing in the UK. And, just putting it in a mental picture, when you're home, it's easy to, over time, gather a network of, okay, the police commissioner in this area, the DPO in this area, if you need security, the local government administration officials, if you need some form of support in terms of using their space. But you are in an environment that is totally different and thousands of miles away from home. Help us understand a bit further how you were able to break into that circle. And perhaps while you're doing that, you could also talk about, how your events management business helps you to empower other Nigerians too, who are trying to look for jobs, in the UK.
Okay, the first thing is, moving into the UK and realizing that the only business that everybody seems to do here is healthcare. I said to myself the very first day that I'm going to do something different, and I went into the event space because there's that opportunity to grow, in the event space of creating event for Nigerians, so everybody aboard, and moving into this country where people had a lot of expectations, and we are just met by the reality, which is that you have to go through it. So there was that space of me, creating it. The challenging part of me putting it together is the part of funding, because UK, you need to go through the whole rules of doing this registration, getting the certification and all. I had to sacrifice myself, my happiness, which is I had to work extra jobs. There was a time for an entire 1 year where I was working a 9 to 5 and an 8 to 8, and I did that Monday to Friday for 1 year. I had that motivation. I just wanted to do it, so that I could get more. And also, I at some point I did, try to look for fundings, sponsors, but it's a new thing. People would not believe in it until it gets well. And the part where I've been able to create a space for other Nigerians. So I grew from going from an event planner, just a club, a show organizer, to carving my niche and realizing that we need to promote the African culture in the UK. So I first, sat down, wrote my career progression in 2 years, 3 years. This is where I really want to be. So I went from someone that randomly creates a club event to now organizing events such as I did an event sometimes in 2022, which is Sheffield Award. It's called Yagi Award, which is Young and Getting, which is to organize and recognize the African, the Nigerian vendors and businesses in Sheffield together. And that event had over 200 people. Then from that event, I was able to do a trade fair, and the first trade fair has 2 people. People would always want to see for you to create, then they will believe in you, then work with you. Then the next one I did, I had 10 vendors. Then I went back and rewrote my assignment, and I said, what, there's an opportunity for this thing to grow. I just need to show people that this thing can grow, and the fact that I need to work extra miles, I need to do extra content, I need to go inside the bush sometimes just to create content so that people can believe that, okay, this guy, what you're doing, and we believe in the mandate. So the last I think the last part which I knew that I now have a community. I have a community over 200 vendors right now, and the last trade fair I did, I had 45 vendors, and we had an head count of 1,276 attendees, that came for the trade fair. And you've questioned me about mentioning the pounds, but I can't go without mentioning the fact that a single sales from one of the vendors, she said to me and asked me to not to ever disclose her identity. She said she made £8,075 from that particular trade fair. So I have been able to create a niche for vendors in particular, because everybody moved into the country, everybody has whatever it is they were doing back in Nigeria before they moved to UK, and we can't close it. And the part of getting a shop, registering your business, setting up, it's very, very hard. So if not, why not? If I have the community, if I have the network for people to come together, if it is once in a year or twice in a year, to do a sales. So the event is called the Marketplace Party, and I have been to different trade fair, I realized that people just go to trade fair, they look around and go. So one thing I did with my event planning skills was, let's create an entertainment in the trade fair, so that when people comes in, they don't just scan through and they leave. There's a way for them to come back, for them to stay back. So for that particular trade fair, what I always do is I get a live band on board, or I get some DJs, some drummers, and people stay back. I would say my highlights for this year was the Nigeria Food Carnival that we had in July. And yeah, I would also like to say that this event has been me working extra miles, and bringing money from my personal pocket. I was saying to someone recently that if I had kept up this money, I'd have bought house in UK. Well, I need to create an impression. It is something I wanted to like grow, for me to earn later in future. So the Nigeria Food Carnival, we had 17 food vendors. We had over like 400 people turnover for it.
Apparently, you have a lot to say. And I think one of the things I like about you is that you're excited with what you do. I think it was Dave Chappelle that was talking to Trevor Noah and said, I did not invite you for my event because you're funny. I invited you because you're interesting. And I can say that about you. You look and sound interesting, and it's quite commendable. Let's also talk about low points, the points where you felt like, oh, nah, why now? Why should I be stressing myself like this? This, as you said, could have used this money to buy a house or property in the UK or pay mortgage or whatever. So tell us about the low points.
My low point, I won't go deep, but I'll talk about it, is a part of the family expectation, because when everybody moves, there is this expectation of you. And I can't always explain to everybody, like, this is what I am building until when it actualizes. One of my low points was a time when I had an event. The whole planning took a toll on me. And when I say a toll, like it took an any of over like 2 months, for me to put it together. And this day came. I got to the venue at 8 p.m. expecting people to turn up for about 9 p.m., 10 p.m. and nobody showed up. Nobody showed up. Nobody came to the venue. It was just me, the DJ, and the hype man. And I stood there until about 3 a.m. Nobody showed up. I went back to cry. At the peak of my career of the event, I said to myself that at the end of November, which was 2024, and that was 3 years ago, that if I don't amount to anything, if I look at myself and I don't feel like there is anything for the future, I was going to accept defeat and enter 2025 as a loser, and that was because I had like a peak. But looking into it, checking my summary, what I have done so far, at the end of the last event we had, which was 30th of November, the Ankara Festival, and doing a summary of what I have been up to, I realized that over I've been able to build a community of Nigerians in South Yorkshire. There was over 400 people. Nigerian vendors in Sheffield, that has over 200 people. I've been able to build an event community that has 500 people in it. And my summary of people who has attended my event over 3 years has been 3,446. And I said, okay, yeah, this 3,400 and something, they cannot be foolish. They are seeing something in it and they want to keep coming. So yeah, 2025 seems great, and yeah, I look forward to it.
Amazing. So I'd like you to speak to young Nigerians who are watching you and are probably like afraid of delving into that space. I'd like you to speak to them about how you're able to handle all of those downsides. And I imagine that there are other, challenges that you have not mentioned.
Okay, yeah, I do have other challenges that I've not mentioned. I can remember there was a point in time when someone said to me that they think my event is too Nigerian, and for that reason they won't come. And it was not just one person, it was like a group of people, and it's really so bad that when they see me on the street, they don't even greet me because they're like, we're not interested in your event, The advice I like to give to people, there's a mantra that has kept me going. There's something I always say that if the dream does not belong to Joseph, God will not show Joseph, So if you believe in it, if you see that you can do it. Recently, last weekend, I launched my African store, which is a progression for me. It's a progression from not just doing events, but now doing business, selling African foodstuffs. And it's a risk for me, but I am positive about it. And another thing I also like to say to any young Nigerian out there is that hold on to your mandate, hold on to it, be positive about it, and whatever it is that you want to do, ensure you love it first, fall in love with it first before going into it.
Your story is quite inspirational, and I can tell that you know where you're going. So just keep at it, keep believing in it, keep believing, and keep going. I wish you the very best. Ola Badmus, who is an event planner and manager. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to talk with an Afrobeat artist. Join us again.